Written by A Mysterious Lurker. I recently broke up with my girlfriend. It was a mutual decision after she commented she wasn't ready for a committed relationship. We hadn't been dating for very long, so I didn't feel overly bitter about it. However, I did get slightly bitter after she started to date someone else, and within 3 months, they became engaged. How could I not have some negative feelings over something like that? I complained to a friend of mine to just vent and wanted to drop the whole issue. A few days later, he proudly announced he gave a coworker my Instagram account to send me a message on, hoping we could arrange a date. I was a little annoyed by him. I know it was well-meaning, but I wasn't ready to date again just yet. I felt it would be rude to just dismiss his coworker entirely, so I just hoped she wouldn't bother sending a message. Unfortunately, I got a new notification in my DMs from her, introducing herself as Kitty. She did have a cute name going for her, so I answered back figuring she wouldn't be interested after speaking with me. Or at the very least, my bland Instagram photos. Hey, sorry if Kevin pressured you into this. He can be pretty demanding sometimes, but he's an alright guy, I sent back to her. Oddly enough, a nervous feeling came over me when she responded quickly.
Try working with him. It's impossible to stay mad at him, though. Hey, can I ask you a question? Is your account named Count D_12 because you like vampires, or is the Count D for something else?
I paused to stare at the screen, the question turning in my head. I'm a bit of a nerd. I try not to show it unless other people say they're into the same thing I am. I only made this Instagram account to message other friends to keep track of what they're doing. Count D was a character from an older manga I read ages ago. I doubted anyone would ever pick up on that because of how poorly the series sold. Count D is a character from an old manga. Hang on, Kevin is sending me a message. I figured the moment I mentioned the word manga, she would become uninterested. I switched over to Kevin to see what he wanted. To my horror, he said he pretty much set up a date for Kitty and myself the next Friday night. I wanted to smack him. He should have at least waited for us to finish sending some messages before suggesting ideas. I saw she replied and quickly switched back to her. My nerves were on fire over the idea of seeing her in person after I outed myself as a weeb so soon.
Pet Shop of Horrors? Oh, I love that manga. So few people know about it. I got excited when I saw your username. Kevin asked if I wanted to see you Friday. I think he already told you. I said yes, but I understand if you're not ready to go out so soon after breaking up. He also told me that. Sorry. I'm recently single too. My last boyfriend wasn't very filling.
A second later, she sent another message before I could reply.
Was unfulfilling. Sorry, LOL.
The only thing more shocking than her knowing the series is that she agreed to go out Friday. I wasn't entirely ready for this date, but agreed to it. I mean, it's just a date. What was the worst that could happen? Friday night came faster than expected. I felt overly nervous over the entire thing, though I didn't expect anything to come of the night. I really wanted to be angry at Kevin for pulling this sort of thing. I showed up at the meeting spot early, the sun starting to set even though it was only 7. I grabbed a jacket just in case. We didn't talk ahead of time about what to do that night. Taking a walk in the park would be out of the question with the chills starting in the air. Kitty arrived shortly after me, her face bright with a smile that made her face almost glow. This girl was way out of my league. Her dyed red hair halfway down her back and styled perfectly. I nearly needed sunglasses when she got close enough to shake my hand. I didn't know how Kevin worked with such a bright and cheery person all day.
Hey, nice to meet you. Kevin said a lot of good things about you,
she said and shoved her hands into her pockets. I was so stunned by her appearance, I needed to collect myself. I was worried she might be, well, not as pretty as her few profile pictures would suggest. I now saw camera didn't do her justice. Thanks. I mentally kicked myself for that poor response. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat? I quickly asked. An odd look came into her eyes. She did look hungry, and it made me so nervous I took a step back. I didn't think anything I said sounded that suggestive.
Yeah, I could eat.
Her smile turned into something else, but only brief enough to let me assume I imagined it. Not me, I hope, I joked with a very nervous laugh. Her expression faltered. Now she looked to be the nervous one. I really wasn't good at this whole dating thing if I made her this uncomfortable so quickly.
Oops, the cat's out of the bag. I'm secretly a man-eating monster going from job to job, luring victims to me before moving on. It's a hassle, but hey, it's a living.
She said with a shrug and started to laugh. I had no choice but to join her in a very awkward spell of laughter. She noticed how poorly the joke went over and let the laughter die out.
Anyway, there's a good restaurant just on the other side of the park if you want to get dinner.
Kitty offered, pretending as if the previous exchange didn't happen. It's getting a little cold. We could take an Uber, I offered. She shook her head and started towards the trail, her bright hair shining brilliantly in the setting sun.
Waste of money. It'll be a quick walk. You won't feel the cold in a few minutes, I promise.
I didn't have any reason to refuse. I started after her and quickly caught up to her pace. She was tall and we were pretty much the same height. We didn't talk for the first minute. It felt like the silence went on forever. I needed to get the conversation going again. She adjusted her hair and I noticed her earrings. They were a set of golden triangles that sparked a memory of another older series. Have you read Demon Detective Nero? I asked, hoping she knew the English name because I was terrible at saying any Japanese titles. She stopped in her tracks, face flush, and at first I thought she might be angry over something. I froze with her, my heart nearly stopping at the reaction.
Hold on. You know about Pet Shop of Horrors and Nero? Do you have any idea how many people I've met that know about both, but also like them?
Kitty sounded very excited over now being able to talk about two series she enjoyed with another person. When she spoke, I thought I saw a flash of sharp teeth. The dim light must be playing tricks on my eyes. She'd taken her hands out of her pockets in her excitement. I noticed how sharp her fingernails looked. That wasn't really too strange. A lot of girls got fake long nails. I guess we have something to talk about over dinner, I replied. Her face fell a little for some reason. It was as if she really didn't want to go through with the date. We had barely spoken with each other, so I didn't blame her. I almost wanted to offer us to meet up at a different time after we got to know each other better. She had already started walking again, and I moved to catch up. We kept moving, another awkward silence growing between us. The set sun making parts of the path very dark between the sparse light posts. Kitty walked ahead, her form disappearing in the darkness. I kept walking, figuring I would see her after my eyes adjusted. The path looked empty when I could see again, causing me to panic. I frantically looked around, worried something might have happened to her. When something bad happens, I always assume there'd be a warning first. Like how movies build up to jump scares with tension along with music cues. You're anticipating the scare and almost feel relieved after it happens. That's not at all how it happens in real life. I turned looking for Kitty, my eyes landing on a large, dark figure in the path. My heart stopped in my chest as my brain desperately tried to pretend it hadn't just found the girl I'd been following behind a second beforehand. That comment about being a monster wasn't a joke at all. My brain couldn't even process most of it. The fear cut down to my very core and unlocked some sort of primal feeling that was nearly bred out of me after so many generations of living in cities with other people. Our species nearly forgot what lurked in the dark and how ancient and inhuman those monsters could be. My mouth dropped open with a short scream, spilling out at the deeply disturbing mass of teeth and clawed arms.
Oh, shush, don't be like that. I like you, so I'll be kind.
Kitty spoke, her voice, oddly enough, sounding so sweet it made my feet want to stay near her. I barely choked out a word.
I could make this hurt. It feels like a waste to kill you, but I need to eat, you know? It'll be like falling asleep under a pile of blankets on a cold, rainy day, or sinking into an ice bath. Wouldn't that be nice? Don't you think you've earned something that relaxing?
All the strength left my body. I became helpless to her words, the fear still deep in my stomach, but my mind unable to act on it. So many sharp hands came crawling over my limbs to keep me still, their grip just tight enough to slightly hurt. The jacket she wore when we met looked too big for her. Maybe she kept a trophy from each meal, and my spring coat was going to be added to that collection. Suddenly, those hands stopped holding the jacket open. Whatever spell this monster had over me broke. I wanted to struggle, and yet knew it would be a wasted effort.
You like Mononoke?
She asked, and her voice changed back to a casual tone, not the one she used to lure in victims. As much as I wanted to beg and cry for her to let me go, I pushed those feelings down to nod. I'd forgotten I'd thrown on an old shirt I'd gotten from a convention a few years back. The image faded, but still clear enough to see the main character of an anime no one really cared about. I figured if she liked pet shops, she might like this anime as well. At the very least, it was a good conversation starter for the date, and the shirt may have saved my life. New movie's coming out, I said, voice shaking. The monstrous shape in front of me paused. Kitty debated on something, and finally drew all her hands back. In one swift motion, she stepped into the light in the regular, pretty human form she used to lure in victims. She started to mutter to herself and kick at the lamppost so hard it shook each time.
You are making this very hard on me.
I'm not overly upset over that fact, I replied, still shaken. I thought that might get me eaten for sure. Instead, a smile came over her face. I somehow dodged being eaten, at least for now. Would she want to keep me around now that I knew her secret? Then again, I could tell everyone she was a monster that ate people, and not a single person would believe me.
Listen, I'm not really looking to date anyone. I think it's pretty clear that I only wanted to eat you. But I also really do want to have someone to talk about these old series with. Considering you saw what I really look like, I can understand if you want to get as far away from me as possible.
I carefully looked around as if this was some sort of trap. That maybe she wanted to get my hopes up and then come crashing down to kill me just when I thought I made it out safely. Are you just saying this to eat me later? Or kill me after we finish talking about all the series we like and have in common? I asked carefully.
Nah, I have a lot of other food options. I don't mind keeping you alive. As long as you're okay with being just friends who talk about this stuff. I've told guys I have no interest in a relationship right off the bat, but months down the line, they get all pissed off I haven't slept with them after we've talked so much. Ugh, I eat those types. So don't pull that kind of crap and, we're good.
That's gross. Do guys really do that? I said, my fear slowly fading. Her face lit up again, making me almost forget what that cute mask kept hidden. I honestly didn't want to jump into dating so soon, and I didn't really think Kitty was cute in a girlfriend sort of way. More like a sister type, a person I would never consider going out with.
I stay well fed. You have no idea how many terrible guys are out there. Mind you, I am looking for the bad one, so I'm bound to come across the trash. I wasn't even going to agree to see you, but Kevin is pretty persistent.
I nodded, knowing how well-meaning Kevin acted to the point it got annoying. A sharp wind blew, making me zip up my jacket. I stood, considering what just happened. Kitty wasn't human, but also wasn't a threat to my life at the moment. Would I be a terrible person if I stood by and let her eat others? Could I sleep at night knowing I could do nothing to save innocent men from being killed by her? She let me stew in my thoughts, her eyes on her phone and making a disgusted face that made me question what caused that kind of reaction.
I have a page up, and I put my age as 14 on the profile. I don't even have that many photos, just like a few of my face. And one dude just sends me a full body nude in a pose you don't even want to know about. Wearing a wedding ring and everything. I'm totally eating him. Oh, speaking of eating, do you still want to go for dinner? I wasn't lying about a restaurant being on the other side of the park.
The whiplash between the 2 points faded pretty fast. I found myself smiling over the whole ordeal. I nodded and let her start walking again to guide us to what she called the best ramen place in town. I should have run for the hills, and yet I went through with a friend date with an actual monster. She let me take a brief glance at the type of daily messages she received, and my feelings on her eating innocent humans faded a little. That night, I found out there are true monsters in this world. There are other monsters that hunt them. We parted from each other, promising to go out for ramen again.
I'll pay next time, as an apology for the whole, trying to eat you thing.
Kitty commented just before her Uber pulled up. Are you being nice or fattening me up? I joked, wondering if that sort of comment might be too soon.
Wouldn't you like to know?
She smiled in a way that showed off all of her very sharp teeth. I suppressed a shudder and waved when she left. I didn't die and found a friend to talk with my very niche interests with. I'm going to have to think of a way to thank Kevin without telling him I nearly became an unhappy meal.